Hello my dear students, welcome to computer science class. So the topic that we are going to discuss today is jump statement or transfer of control from within loop. Before I proceed with this topic, let us have a quick glance on what we have discussed in our previous video. That is, we have discussed the looping statements like while, do while and for loop. So before we proceed, let us know the differences when to use this for, while and do while. As we have know, for loop is used when we know in advance how many times the loop has to be repeated or iterated. Suppose whenever a program demands for the iteration of certain set of statements and you know how many number of times it has to be iterated, okay, then we can easily use the for looping structure. Then when to use this while and do while. This while and do while both you can use in a situation where we doesn't know how many times the loop has to be iterated. When we are unaware of how many iterations the loop may take, in that situation either you can go for the while or the do while looping statements. But in that also, the while statement should be preferred when you do not want to execute the set of statement even once. Okay, when the condition is false, you doesn't want to execute certain set of statements even the at least once also you doesn't want it to execute depending upon the condition. In that case you can go for the while looping statements. And do while you can prefer irrespective of whether the condition is true or false. At least once you want to execute those set of statements, then you can go for the do while looping structure. So therefore, for the examination, for loop is very important and the difference between while and do while is very important. Understood? So these are the three looping statements which we have discussed in our previous videos. Now let us move on to the jump statement or the transfer of control statement within the loop. Why we need to study these jump statements? We have certain conditions. Okay, suppose if you want to terminate the program at the middle of the program execution, only if I want to terminate, then you can go for the jumping statements. Or if I want to terminate the execution of the looping, suppose like for loop, while loop, do while loop, in between only I want to terminate that particular loop, then you can go for the jumping statement. Okay, so it so happens that half a way to skip any particular loop. Suppose for an example, if I have taken the for loop from I is equal to 0 to I should be less than 10. Therefore, how many times? 10 times the iteration takes place. But half a way when you reach at the fifth iteration, then you want to skip that particular iteration. After fourth, fifth has to be skipped, and again you should start back with the beginning, that is sixth iteration. If you want to skip any of the middle iteration, then also you can go for the jumping statements. I hope you are able to understand. So therefore these three are the purposes why we need to study the jumping statements, and all these tasks we can accomplish by using the three different kinds of jumping statement, that is break statement, okay, and then exit and the continue statements. So these statements will help you to transfer of control within the looping, terminate the execution, as well as exiting the loop plus half a way through to skip the loop. Okay, now let us discuss about the break statement, what it is exactly, the break statement. Now the first one is what we are going to study is this break statement. Now this break statement actually it is having two uses. I hope you have come across the break statement in the switch case. First one is to terminate that case in the switch statement. Suppose if we don't include the that is a break in any of the case in the switch statement, then automatically whether the match is found or no, the next case, subsequent cases keeps on executing until it encounters the break statement. So therefore what we have studied in the switch cases, the break statement which it is a one which causes the immediate termination of the loop. Here also it does the same, but here the break statement will provide you the immediate termination not only in case of switching statement, which is a selection statement, but in fact it also works with the while loop, do while, for, by passing the normal loop conditional test. That means by performing the conditional test depending upon any situation, whichever the looping statement structure you are using, this break statement will allow for the immediate termination of the loop. Immediate termination in the sense what? Exiting from particular loop. So previous examples we have seen, isn't it, where we are exiting in the from the for loop. Once the condition is fail, okay, the control comes out of the for loop and it is going to the next statement. Now that is nothing but immediate termination of the loop. That means control coming out of the particular loop, we can say it as an immediate termination of the loop. So whenever the break statement is encountered inside a loop, whether it is a for, while or the do while, okay, the loop is being immediately terminated and the program controls resumes to the next statement. It's very much similar to that of the switch case whatever we have used. So in switch case, once it maybe case 1 matches, the statement associated with the case 1 will execute, and soon after that break it is encountered. Once the break is encountered, there will be an immediate termination of the switch statement and the control goes to the next statement after the switch structure. Same way here also. Therefore, the main purpose of using this break statement, children, it is to terminate the loop. It would be helpful to terminate the loop if any error is encountered. Suppose in between any error if it is encountered, then you can use the break statement. I hope you are able to understand. Now the general syntax, okay, the general format of the break statement, how to write is break. Remember, break is a keyword. Okay, it makes some special meaning to the compiler. So break, and it should be always in lowercase. So therefore break followed by the semicolon. Now look at this program segment. This is not a complete program. This I am saying as a program segment. That means one of the program unit. Okay, wherein I have taken the for loop and I have taken an variable known as n. Now at this time I am using the n in the for loop. Therefore I can call n to be as a counter variable or loop control variable. Why? Because this entire loop, it has been controlled by a variable known as n, and we know that for loop is having initialization, condition and increment or decrement. Three set of statements we have, three partitions we are having under the for loop, isn't it? So initialization happens only once and condition will be iterated depending upon this particular condition, isn't it? Okay, n is being initialized to the initial value, that is 0. N should keeps on iterating until it is less than 100, less than 100. Okay, and then how it is incrementing? N is being incremented by one value. Therefore I have written here as n plus plus. So once the value of n is 0, okay, it comes here whether 0 is less than 100. On satisfying this particular condition, the control makes an entry into the loop and we are printing the n value. Currently it will be 0 first, and then the control goes to the very next statement. What is there in the next statement? Here we are having the selection statement, that is if condition. If 0, n value is 0, right? 0 is equals to 10, it is checking. 0 is equals to 10. On satisfying this if condition, the control will jump here. Understood? On satisfying this if condition, control goes to here. If the condition doesn't match, what happens? The control goes back to the increment operator. For loop keeps on iterating until this condition becomes false. Remember. Therefore, now at present 0 is equals to 10. The condition is false. Because the condition is false, the control goes back. If the condition was true, obviously the next statement will be considered as the very next statement will be considered as the true part of the simple if statement. Am I right? Always I told you, after the condition statement, after the selection statement, whatever the test condition you all have written, the very next statement is considered to be as always the true part. So here the break is there. Now I'll explain this program segment with example here. Okay, I'll explain here so that we can understand. Now coming to here, this is a program segment I have written. N to be as 0, n should be less than 100 and n plus plus. Here I have taken, I am printing the n value, and here I have taken the simple if statement and the break. Now coming to the first iteration, as I was telling, 0 is equals to 10. The condition is false. Because the condition is false, the control goes back to the increment where the n value will be incremented. I hope this logic you all know. So coming to the second iteration, since the n value was being incremented, the n value will be 1 children. Okay, internally it will be having incremented. So therefore the n value is 1. Now again assignment we are not going. Assignment happens only once, isn't it? So again back to the increment, again back to the condition, again it is entering into the loop. If loop fails, again it goes for the increment. Like this it keeps on happening until this condition is failed. Now coming back to here, 1 is less than 100. Yes, the condition is true. So it enters the loop wherein it is printing the 1 value of n, it is being printed, and after very next statement is if condition. So 1 is equals to 10, it is checking. The condition is false. Once the condition is false, so this true part will never get executed because the condition is false. If this condition is true, then break would have been executed. Now again control goes back to this increment part. So when it is incrementing, definitely the n value would become what, children? 2. So 2 is in the third iteration, 2 is less than 100. Yes, the condition is true. So it enters, it prints the value 2, and 2 is equals to 10, it will check whether 2 is equals to 10. The condition is fails, again gets incremented. Like this, in the fourth iteration the value would become 3. 3 is less than 100. The condition is true. Okay, it enters, prints the value of 3. Again 3 is equal to 10, it checks. Condition is false. Again increments. Similarly, when it comes here, 4 it is printing. 4 is equal to 10. The condition is fail again. Coming to the fifth iteration, 5. Okay, 5 is less than 100, true. Again 5 gets printed. 5 equals to 10, false. Again coming to 6th, 6 is equals to 10. I'm just skipping this because explanation remains the same. 6 equals to 10, children. The condition is false, again gets incremented. When it comes to 7, 7 is equal to 10. The condition is false, again gets n gets incremented. 8, 8 equals to 10. Condition fails, so again increment. 9 is equal to 10. Okay, when 9 is equal to 10, here again condition fails and n value gets incremented. So when it comes to the 11th iteration, what is this? 10 is less than 100. Yes, the condition is true. Once the condition is true, 10 it gets printed. After that, what we are having? Whether 10 is equal to 10. The condition is true. Once the condition is true, automatically the control should execute what? The true part of this if statement, that is break. See, once it encounters the break, automatically the control, okay, it will terminate this, termination of this particular loop. Immediate termination of this particular loop takes place, and the control will automatically comes out of the for loop, irrespective of this particular condition. If it is encountering the break statement, okay, the control automatically jumps out of the for loop. Actually 10 is less than 100 days, condition is true. You may say, why not it is going for the incrementation? Okay, again why we are not going for the 12th iteration? Again n value, why it is not 11? Why it is not 11? Because the control has encountered a statement known as break, which causes an immediate termination of the loop. Therefore control skips this, control will entirely terminate the for loop and it comes out of the for loop, and it will start executing the next statement what is there in the program. I hope children you are able to understand. Now let me go to the next program here. A very important program, that is the program to test whether the given number is prime or not using the break statement. So what do you mean by prime number? The number which is divisible by itself and the number which is divisible by 1, we refer it as a prime number. I think all of you know this. So let us see how to write the program. So we have the header files, that is iostream, conio.h and iomanip.h. We are having these header files. So I hope you know iostream for see in and see out, conio for clear screen and get ch, and iomanip for the endl and setw. Okay, Now I have taken the three variables here, that is n, I and status. Okay, so now clear screen, and then we are asking the user to enter the number. That means here, suppose for an example, if the user is entering the number as 27, if the user is entering, then the program should find out whether the given number is a prime or not. So I am asking the user to enter the number, and then I am storing that given entered number in the variable, that is n, followed by I am assigning the variable known as status as 1. Okay, I have taken the status and initialized with the value as 1. So later I will tell you why I have taken the status. Now here, to find out whether the given number is prime or no, first thing is, suppose if I am giving the number as 4. 4 is not a prime number because it is having its divisors like 2. It is having its divisor as 2, right? Suppose for example 8. 8 is not a prime number because it is having its integer divisors like 2, 4. Am I right? Okay, now for example 10. 10 is not again a prime number. Okay, it's not a prime number because we are having its integers like 2 and 5. Okay. Now if you are observing, when I am taking any number, its divisors are half of that particular number. Am I right? When I have taken as 4, its integer divisors are up to only 2, half of the given number. When I took as 8, okay, it's half into it. The range would lie between 2 to 4. That is half of the 8. When I said 10, the range, what it happens? 2 to 5 it would range. That is half. I think in a previous video when we have discussed the program to print the integer divisors, I said always the integer divisors will be there to half of the given numbers. Understood? Therefore, I have to check the divisors, whether for example when I gave the number as 10, for the 10 whether integer divisors are there, whether the divisors for that particular numbers are there or not. To check that, I need not to check right from 0 to right from 2 to 9. I need not to check. I can just check it with the half of the number. Till 5 only I can check. I need not to go further 6 and 7 and 8. Okay, so therefore look at the for loop I have taken. For I is equal to 2. Okay, I should be less than or is equal to n by 2. That means if I give the number as 12, its integer divisors will be up to 6 only. Okay, so therefore it will be half of the given number. Only up to this particular condition I am making this for loop to be iterated, and then I am incrementing the I value. Then so on satisfying this condition, I am checking whether the given number has been completely, when we do the modulus operation, whether it is completely divisible or not. If so, I am making the status value, which was previously it was 1, I am reassigning the status value as 0 and I am printing that it is not a prime number. Finally, when I encounter the break, look at this break. This break, it will perform the immediate termination of the loop, current loop. This if also it will come out, and it will also come out of the for loop. Control automatically goes to the next statement after this particular for structure. That means what? It is causing an immediate termination. Now coming back, let us come to the program here. Let us come to the program. I'll show you first the simple one. Okay, so what is the logic here? N is, I have taken the value as 12. When I took the value as 12, definitely its integer value will be half of it. So the range would be 0, 2 to 6 it would be. Therefore, this is my for loop. I have written I to be as 2, I is equal to 2, and 2 is less than or equal to 6. Yes, on satisfying the condition, we are making an entry into the for loop. In the for loop, what is the first statement here? Children, I am explaining this program only. After the for loop, on satisfying this, we are checking for this particular condition. Am I right? So here, what is n value? N value is 12. Am I right? So 12 mod 2 is equal to 0. Yes, 2 6s are 12. It is completely divisible. It is, isn't it? And remainder, what we got? Since it is modulus operator, we got the remainder as 0. Since we got the remainder as 0 and it is satisfying, we are making an entry into the if loop. Okay, when we make an entry into the if loop, the value of the status will be reassigned and it changes to 0. Previously outside the status value was actually we have assigned with 1, no? That value will get changed. After once it is changed, then we have the next statement that it is not a prime number, correct? No. Why it is not prime number? Because 12 is completely divisible by 2 and we are getting the remainder as 0. That means the 12 is having their divisors. So therefore I can tell it as, I can print here it as it is not a prime number. Now after printing the output, what is the next statement there? Break. When it encounters the break statement, actually it has to go for the iteration. It will not go to the next iteration, because what happens here? I should get I should get incremented. Am I right? The value should get incremented, I value. Instead of that, since it is encountered the break statement, it will come out of both the loops and control goes to the next statement. Now what is there in the next statement, children? Now if of status, as per the program, we have if of status. If of status means what? If of, what is the outer value of the status? Outer value is what? It is 1. By default it will take it as 1. 1 is equals to, we have changed the value, that is 0 internally, because when we have entered the if loop wherein the status value has changed, so therefore it will check for the equality. Whether 1 is equals to 0, it is checking. Actually the previous value of status was 1. If of status means if of 1 it is checking. If of status means always it takes the value as 1, children. Therefore actually it should be 1. But what after getting into the if loop, the status value is being changed to 0. Whether 1 is equals to 0, it is checking. No, it is not equals to. Therefore the next statement what is there after this will be skipped and control goes to the get ch. Now coming back to the program. See here, if of status is false, actually 1 is equals to 0, the condition is false. Therefore then it will skip this statement and control comes to the get ch. Therefore when you give the input as 12, we will get the output as it is not a prime number. I hope you are able to understand. Is it clear or not? So here what happens? Once again, I know little bit it is confusion. So when you do the modulus operation, okay, we get the remainder as 0. So because the condition is true, we are making an entry into the loop. So wherein we are resetting the value of status. Now I hope you are able to understand status why I have taken. Status is just like acting as a flag to check for the equality. Outside this particular for loop, the status value was 1. But because it has satisfied this if condition, the value of status would change. After that, control prints to the it's not a prime number, because 12 it is being got divided by the number that is 2, isn't it? Then it encounters break. So when it encounters, control comes here. It is checking for whether 1 is equal to 0. The condition is false, so it skipped here and gets ch, and when you execute this program we get that it's not a prime number. Coming back to this one, another example I have taken where the outside the program, outside with the for loop, the status value is actually 1. Now I have taken the value of n to be as 11, children. Definitely its integer divisors up to will be what? Up to 11. So 2 divided by 11, 2 5s are. You may ask why not it's 5.1. No. What is the data type of I, children, here as per the program? I is data type integer. So therefore it will be truncation. So it will take half, means it will take 5, not as 5.5. Therefore the range would become 2 to 5. Understood? Now coming to this for loop. Now this 2 is less than or is equal to 5. The condition satisfies for me. Since the condition satisfies, we are entering into the for loop. In the for loop, what is the first statement? N mod I it is there. What is the n value? 11. 11 mod 2. When you do 11 mod 2, whether it is resulting into 0, children? No. Isn't it? No. I got the remainder as 1. So therefore control will go back to the for loop and I gets incremented. I hope you are able to understand. In my previous example it was not so. It was completely divisible. The condition was true. So we have entered into the if statement. But here it's not so. Condition is false. So when condition is false, the control is not coming out. In fact, it is going to the increment. Okay, when the I value gets incremented, I value definitely would be 3 children, isn't it? Previously I value was 2. Now 3 is less than, because it's checked for condition directly. So 3 is less than or is equal to 5. Yes, the condition is true. So again it makes an entry into the loop. When it makes an entry 11 mod 3, whether it is resulting in completely as 0? No. So what is that? 3 3's are 9 we got. 2 will be the remainder. So it is not completely divisible. Therefore, again the I gets incremented. I becomes 4. 4 is less than or is equal to 5. It's checking. Yes, condition is true. Entering into the for loop, wherein 11 mod 4. So what we got? 4 2's are 8 we got. Okay. Again it's not resulting in 0 completely. So again I gets incremented like this. When it comes to 5, 5 is less than or is equal to 5. Yes, the condition is true. Whether 11 mod 5 is equals to 0. No, 5 2's are 10 we got. Again we got the remainder as 1. Again I gets incremented. When I gets incremented this time, what is the integer divisors? I said because the given number is 11, its integer divisors lies between the half of that given number. That means their integer divisors lie between only till 2 to 5 till. Even if it is exceeding 5, we will not get any integer divisors. So there is no need to test again. Therefore, I have taken here less than or is equal to n by 2. I could have taken it as n here. If so, you should have been iterated up to 11 times there. So instead of that, we can iterate only for the 5 times here. Now 6 is less than or is equal to 5 children. The condition is false. Once the for condition is false, okay, look at the program here. Yeah, once this for condition is false children, it will never make an entry into the if loop. Okay, once the condition is false, automatically where it comes, the control comes here. Because 6 is less than or is equal to 5, it is checking. The condition is false, so it will not enter. In fact, the loop fails and the control goes to the out of the statement. Look at here, this is inner loop and this is the outer loop. So for loop, where it ends? Here. When the control comes here, please observe, we have never modified the value of status. Value of status remain unchanged, isn't it? So therefore we never entered here, we never made the change. So therefore what is the value of status here? 1 only. So therefore now what I'm checking, if of status means what? If 1 is equals to 1 it is. That means what? If of status means if of true it is. True in the sense value that is 1. So if of 1 is equals to 1, yes, the condition is true because status value is 1 only. Therefore, next statement, control goes to the next statement where it is printing as it is a prime number. Therefore, when I give the input as 11, then it is giving me the output as it is a prime number. Now, I want you to trace the program with 53 and 49. Okay. When if it is 53, half of this number it will be integer divisors that you can take as n by 2. Okay. Then when it is 49 again, it is half of the given number. Okay. Half of the given number, till that it will come the iteration. Now let me execute the program and show you. I hope you are finding the programs interesting. So these are just the different kinds of programs with the different kinds of looping structure, jumping structures. Okay. So that in further programs and all, you'll be able to easily write the code. Only when you should know the structure and the syntax, okay, of looping statement, jumping and selection statement. Now this is a program here. The same program I have written. Okay. See here, initially status is 1. So on satisfying this condition, the status value has been will be changed to 0 if of status. Okay. Now let me compile first. I'll get error as zeros here and then I'll run the code. What was the number initially I had given was actually 12 I had given, right? So I'm just entering the number as 12 and I'll enter. See, 12, it's not a prime number. We got the output. 1 second children. Yes, we got the output as it's not a prime number. Let me change it to the next. Let me give the another I'll just run the code here. Now it's asking me to, now let me give the number as 11 here. See, it's a prime number. Okay. Let me give the another output, last one. So I'll run the code. Let me give the value as 35. Definitely 35 shouldn't be a prime number, am I right? So because it is having its divisors, right? So it's not a prime number. I hope children you are able to understand. So in my next video we shall discuss about the exit and continue statements. Okay, so please do try these programs with a different input, and you do try the tracing of these programs, and whatever the tracing I have shown you, make a note of it. Thank you, students.